mean, we've done this enough. There's not much of a statement to make here. Obviously, it's another great opportunity for our program, this year's team in particular. Just keep getting better and trying to play quality basketball against a program we got a lot of respect for. Our program's been a gold standard of our league for 2 decades. Led by a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, all the stuff that you know. So, got to play well to win.
Mike, you mentioned you keep getting better. It's a simple question, but what do you see the improvements? Where do you see the most improvements from your vantage?
I mean, everywhere, really. And I haven't just started seeing. I mean, we talked about this when we weren't necessarily winning. I saw improvement, and I saw things that made me believe that this team could get it figured out. I think what happens though with success is the kids start to dig down even more. That belief in each other and themselves gets further entrenched, and in their minds, in their hearts, in their work and practice. And so it's just a matter of it kind of coalescing the way you hope it would, but when you start the season. So, offensively, I think defensively we've continued to improve, even though we started out really strong in that area. But offensively, we've got guys, accepting the fact that it may not be the same guy every game, that leads us in scoring or is called on to make a big play in a key moment. So I think just buying into the mindset of the whole being better than the sum of our parts individually, and that's been really good for us.
I think Caleb Asbury said that he's never been in a more hype locker room at halftime in Lawrence than he was then. What do you remember about that locker room, and was there an overconfidence there?
I don't know if overconfidence, but I do remember being pissed, to be perfectly honest, and I told the guys that much that day, and then subsequently when it didn't end the way we wanted to. First of all, game's not 20 minutes, and if it was, I would have been happy right along with them. I've seen a lot of basketball games in my life, and again, you have to respect the game enough to play it the right way and be able to feel good about what you're doing, but keep your foot on the gas and keep your focus to a place that helps you get that lead by executing the right way, by having the energy defensively to disrupt what they're doing. And so, yeah, I mean, it's probably the most upset that I've been at a halftime in my career, to be perfectly honest. I told my staff that. And I usually meet with my staff before I go in the locker room. I told them, I don't know what these guys are thinking. And certainly, we battled, became a possession game there, but I was very disappointed in the way we responded to having a halftime lead.
At the beginning and part of the season, it seemed like you could either play well the first half or the second half, and that was kind of the peak of that. Do you think that was a big learning moment for the group?
I don't know if I've thought about that. We've had a lot of kind of very pivotal moments in this season. I don't know if I put that much on it. I think it was an opportunity though to realize how hard it is to win in this league, right? To go on the road and play as well as we did, and again, maybe we played as well as we have in that half. But the response is always what I'm concerned about, and where our minds are, and what we think about what we're doing. And the reason I was pissed is because I told them that that's what I expected to happen. I mean, going in, I felt like we were prepared to. I think I told you guys. I mean, I felt we were prepared to go up there and give ourselves a great chance to win. But I didn't like the way they responded just halfway through.
Aside from you not playing two bigs as much anymore, but what's different about this team now than December 31st, whenever that was?
We play a little faster than we were. I mean, that was one of the things that kind of came out of that game from a coaching standpoint. And some of it, we don't have to go back there this year. I have to think about moving forward. We were conscious about not playing really fast. An 8-0 run is somewhere, and it's lurking out there. Now, if you're up 20, you're okay. If you're up 7, you got problems. But it's coming, and so you got to be able to kind of withstand their runs a little bit, and you do that by slowing the game down, making sure you get the best shot you can every possession. And I think that led to us playing slow for a couple more games. And then obviously we dealt with Musa being out and all the stuff that went along with it. But just getting back to starting with the OU game, being conscious of playing faster, getting more possessions, getting our guards out in the open court a little bit more has been something that's been a different kind of approach for us. I think it's given our guards a little bit more freedom and comfortability, being able to get out and make plays before the defense is set, which again, you can't line up and play in half court against anybody in our league and feel like you're going to be successful. So you got to find ways to steal some possessions, whether it be in ATOs or baseline out situations. So I think that's one of the other things that you could kind of point to, just playing a little bit faster.
I remember Bill Self post-game was very complimentary toward Avery about kind of shutting down Grady Dick. How do you adjust now without Avery?
I don't, obviously Avery did a really good job guarding him, but that's what you have to do when you have a chance. I mean, he's one of the premier shooters in the league. I think he still leads the league in three-point shooting. And at his size, he doesn't need a whole lot of space. So, whoever draws that assignment, I don't know if we've decided that yet. They've got to have the same mindset. Is when he catches it, they're going to be there, have a hand in his face, and make him do something besides shoot threes on the catch. So, we'll certainly miss Avery in that regard because I think his awareness at this stage in his career is at a really, really high level. But if you want to win, you got to get the job done. So somebody else or collective group of people have to figure out a way to get the job done more.
Woody said Avery kind of feels like the player's coach, or at least another coach out there. I assume you welcome that role. Have you seen that kind of same way?
Yeah, I mean, I welcome him. I wish he could play, to be honest. But if he can't, then I certainly want him to continue to be engaged with his teammates and lend his experience of. He's won a game against Kansas in his career in this building, so he knows the task that we have, and he's still very vested in his teammates and his coaches and his school having success moving forward. So any way he can contribute, we take it on.
This is the first time in a long time that Kansas hasn't had a real dominant big man. How have you seen Self and them adjust to that?
I mean, you don't become a Hall of Fame coach without being able to make an adjustment based on a positional player you don't have. They actually have developed a little bit of a presence in there with Ernest. Ejiofor was playing a little bit earlier in the year, and you still got Zach Clements. I mean, guys are all really good players. Go look at their recruiting profiles. They're not bad. Just young. And so he's played through his experienced guys. But, went back and watched the OU game today. Ernest Uday had a big impact on that game. And so he's getting there. But no question that Grady and Jalen Wilson are the guys from a scoring standpoint that they play through. And Dwan Harris may be the most underrated, dominant player in our league because they don't run any plays for him. But every shot they get is basically created by him because he's really, really intelligent. And he's certainly one of the best defenders that I've ever coached against. I mean, he makes some instinctual plays that you just wonder, how did he know that at his age, which I'm assuming is like 20, maybe 21 at this point. But yeah, they've adjusted. They play fast, and Jalen's playing with as much confidence as any player in the country. So that's how you do it. You got to get you a first-team All-American.
What steps has Jalen taken? You've seen him for a few years now. What has he taken?
Probably a lot longer than you know. Recruited Jalen a couple times. He's one of the few guys that have told me no. We got a couple guys. I can make a list of guys who told me no more than once. But I've got a lot of respect for him. Again, you can see it in some of the things we talked about with Caleb Boone. The urgency as a senior, guy who's been through it. They know that what's needed from them from game to game, and being able to deliver it, even though you're at the top of people's scout report, is pretty impressive. Having the skill level he has at the size he has really creates a problem because you got to figure out what type of player you want to put on him. A bigger guy, he can step out and make threes, shoot the ball really well from three, and the smaller guy, he's got no problem taking the side, shooting over. He can move without it, cuts, so he gets it in a lot of ways. And what you got to do is you got to pick the way he's going to score. He's going to score. Guy shoots 20 balls a game. It's going to make some. So you just can't give him every option. Right? You can't let him get the open threes and the transition points and the ones in the post and foul him and give him easy points at the free throw line. So big task for us tomorrow, and I'm anxious to see how our guys respond to it.
You mentioned Caleb's growth too. That pass he had to Woody the other night, where do you rank that in the plays of the other night at Iowa? Because that was.
I mean, you know, I give credit to our staff. They obviously saw how they were defending, how KB's been defended the last couple games, and you know, kind of put a little bit of a wrinkle in there to get Woody, you know, closer to the basket, because teams have been pretty much double teaming off of him, and a lot of times if he's on the perimeter, makes it easier to rotate out. But to put him where he was as a cutter, which he's gotten a few of these in the last month or so, put a challenge on him, because now you don't have another big guy to block shots in there. So I think it was Caleb Grill trying to crack down on him, and he finished. I mean, I thought the catch and the finish was just as good as the pass. So a really, really good executed play in the time where we really needed a basket. Again, that's another sign of growth, maybe being able to come out of a timeout and get exactly what you wanted based off how the team's going to guard you. It's credit to those kids.
How much has
Going back to Avery, how has the team been able to continue winning even after losing kind of his experience?
I mean, you know, injuries are an unfortunate part of the game, you know, at every level. But, you know, as a coach, my job is to put a whole roster together of guys that I believe can help us have success. And I think we, you know, to the credit of our staff, we've got some quality depth. And so, I mean, I just think the guys believing in the coaches, and our coaches continue to work with guys, even some who maybe hadn't played earlier in the year, to keep them in a place where they were ready to help when time was needed, has really helped us in this transition. So, I mean, I think Bryce is logging a lot more minutes here the last couple games. So is John Michael Wright. Chris Harris's minutes are up. So that's kind of what the deal is until you figure out whether you're going to get them back or not. And if you don't, you still got to play all these games without them. So I think that's our job as a staff, and the players' responsibility to the team is to be ready if a teammate goes down. So I'm proud of them all for doing what they've done.
Kansas had a few guys in foul trouble the last time you played. Was that just the nature of the way the game was called, or was that something you guys kind of forced?
You know what, Cody, to be honest, for some reason I can't recall their foul trouble.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's not one of the things that jumps out at me as I think about the game. All I can remember is the turnovers and the 8-minute stretch where we scored 4 points. And we had 2 great shots for John Michael. He had it going that day that didn't go down. And so trying to figure out how to coach better. Right? The fouls, I really don't even know who you were referring to be perfectly honest.
The turnovers in Saturday's game, you had, I think, 10 in the first half. What changed at halftime?
Well, I think we were just more aware of their aggression. You know, they're a really good defensive team. But I think sometimes we overestimate that it's always us, that the reason we don't play well, like the other teams are really good. Like you don't become 25 games into the season or whatever it is now, the number 1 team in forcing turnovers without being good at it. And, you know, you got to have a plan, but the truth is you're going to have some. You just can't have 24 of them. Like, oh, you had 24 turnovers the other day. Like, it's hard to win. I mean, it's 24 possessions where you don't give yourself a chance to make a shot, get fouled, get an offensive rebound. So you got to stay away from the numbers that are you're unable to overcome. I'd like to, in my mind, like to keep it 10 or below for a game, but that's not going to happen every game. You got to be able to play through some of those mistakes. But I think our guys made a good adjustment in terms of driving against their physicality. We got ourselves to the free throw line a little bit more. We actually shot free throws well, other than Musa going 0 for 5. I think we were 14 for 15 with the rest of the guys. So that's one way to kind of back teams off is make your free throws, and then obviously when you have chances to make some threes, gotta make some of those also.
How much has John Michael changed or developed from that first Kansas game, first conference game, to now?
I mean, I think part of his progression over the last couple of weeks, because he had some struggle in between there, is understanding, meeting the moment. I would say, right? What he's doing is what he was doing at a probably more higher volume degree at High Point, right? Which is being more aggressive, looking for a shot. In that game, particularly, he was looking for a shot a lot and shot it well. So I think just now understanding that really the team needs that. We need more of the high point, John Michael, as far as looking for his shot, as opposed to the facilitated minded when you got Avery out there who's as good a scorer, maybe not as good a shooter, but as good a scorer. So I think meeting that moment head on is something that's been really good for us.
Musa and Woody said that they don't take it game by game, they take it practice by practice. Do you think that makes them stand out in a way, differs from the other teams in the Big 12?
I don't know what the other teams do, so I really can't speak to that. I think it's a sign of maturity for those guys, because I don't know if that's what they thought a year ago or 2 years ago when neither one were here. But understanding that you have to focus on getting better. And this practice and this weight room session and this film session, you got to grow. And if you have that mindset, then over time, if you're good enough, the results will be where you want them to be. They won't always be right. But if you start thinking about the next game or this stretch of games, then you really get yourself in trouble, because you stunt your growth in the moment, worrying about too many things that are way outside your control.
What kind of environment are you expecting tomorrow?
I don't know. I mean, our crowds have been really good. There's some nights that I wish more people would have showed up. But I'll be honest, I really focus my energy on the people that show up. And I'm very thankful for them. There's some people I'm sure who haven't missed any of our games so far. I think we're 11-2 at home. They've been a big part of it. Even on the days where we've had, smaller crowds, our crowd's energy has been good. I hope for these kids that they're able to experience what people always talk about. The old barn being loud and rowdy, and I've seen it myself. I talked about the Iowa State game my year as an assistant coach, but maybe the second loudest building I've ever been in was this one, and that was when I was an assistant coach, when we got going there. And we played OU here on a Saturday night late in the year, and Juwan scores like 20 straight to end the game. And this place was absolutely bonkers. And so I know what it's capable of. And the only thing I say to our fans is that it takes all of us to get where we want to go as a program, and particularly for this team. Let's Work isn't about this team. It's everybody. It's our former players, alum. And again, I get people have a lot of stuff to do. Weekdays are hard, families, church, whatever. But if you can find 2 hours to come here and spend time supporting these kids, they're gonna play with the effort that you hope that we know that they're capable of, and hope to make our fans proud.
The way y'all have been playing right now lately, is that kind of what you envisioned this team looking like, before the season started?
No, we're better than we're playing. And I don't say that in a way to lessen the excitement that I have for us playing better lately. But we're better than we're playing. There's still more room to grow for this team. That's why I'm driving them every day. Each guy has a little bit more that they can give to help us maximize what we're capable of. And so until that happens, as a coach, my job is to challenge them to pursue that, and not to fight the natural tendency to get complacent. It's still a long road ahead for us, and this league is really, really hard. And I talk about it after losses, but it's the same after win. Kansas doesn't care that we went to Iowa State and won. They're fighting to win another Big 12 championship. We're trying to get one, right? We're trying to put ourselves in position. So we just got to worry about trying to play really good basketball tomorrow. And then at the end of the year, we can look back and talk about, did we get there? Did we maximize it? And reflect. But right now, we got to keep our heads down and keep working.
All right, wrap it up.